Okay. I think everybody can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Hopefully, yes. Somebody can say yes into the background. I know more people are joining, and we're gonna send some more reminders to people. But I believe you can hear me, right? So I can hear. Yep. Okay, excellent, brilliant. So let me stop sharing for a second here, and then yes, I'm just so back to me. So good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be able to see you. We're gonna have a very good conversation today. But before we get going, let me just check. I have one of my colleagues here, one of my colleague speaker. So Judith, can you speak? I just want to make sure that you are good on your side, Judith, because I think we have VJs with us, but I need Judith as well to confirm that she's okay. Judith, can you
hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah. I can hear you very well. I can't see you for now, but I can hear you. Hearing you is most important.
I'm trying to work on my camera. I'm not sure why it's not switching on. Okay. So that I could be on camera.
Okay. So do see what you can do, but obviously, if we were to choose between the two, obviously we much rather first of all hear from you, and then hopefully you can join us as well on camera later. So good morning, everybody. So welcome to this fantastic webinar that we're going to have. So my name is Tony Teo, founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. And today we have a topic which I believe should be of great interest to you. And then before we get going, let me just give the opportunity to two of my colleagues to introduce themselves. So we have VJ and Judith. But even before we go there, just to set the scene a little bit, right? So we are together for a little bit less than 60 minutes now. So obviously by the hour, the next hour, we should be wrapping up. But what is meant to be happening right now? So I'm just gonna sort of set the background a little bit, right? Not take too long because the stars of today are with me. And after that, we're gonna have Judith, and she's gonna tell us who she is exactly, what she's doing. And I believe she has a very interesting presentation that she has with us. Then I have VJ Bopal from Inclusive Energy. They were very, very supportive in wanting us to organize this this webinar, and we're very, very much grateful for them. And after that, we're obviously going to tap into the question. I have actually received a number of questions. We're very pleased. People asking many questions. That means that the interest is there. And I know people are going to keep on coming because we're definitely going to send them reminder for them to join. But I can see they are more into the waiting rooms. So not wasting too much time. So the reason we're here is for something it's very important for me in particular, because I don't know if some of you did follow the live video that I did on Sunday, because you know we haven't live on Wednesday and Sundays, and I was talking about the fact that when I was younger, so I used to go on holidays, you know, to my grandparents, right, and then and I used to spend some time, you know, in the village, and in the evening, most of the time, or even lunchtime, we go in the kitchen. Usually was at the back of the house. And then you stay there with your grandmother as well, with your cousins and siblings, and you spend some very good time there, you know, while the food is being cooked, right? And that was very, very fun and good memories. And the thing is, as you're growing up, you're coming across this issue whereby you hear about clean cooking, you start wondering, what is it all about, right? And the fact that in those, let's say, traditional local culture, so we're cooking in those confined spaces that are open fire with lots of smokes. Obviously, it's not necessarily very good for the health, but at the time, you don't realize it. You don't see it like that. And later on, when you grow up, just like I have done, and many of you as well, I guess, and you come across some stats whereby you find out that there's about 3 billion people around the world, right? Across Africa, Asia, and also the Americas, that actually are living in the same setting, the same kind of environment. Yes, 3 billion people. And out of those 3 billion, so you have about 1% of them, right? That would be, say less than 1%, 0.1% actually. That's obviously would die every year because of indoor air pollution. And then, and you could see that, okay, the reader that, okay, all this time when I was going to the village, I didn't realize that I was actually going through a certain issue. The fact that people will stay there, spend the whole year and sort of smoking, breathing, or all of those toxic air. It's not good for the health. Yeah, and a number of them, unfortunately, will have some issues with their health. So that's what we're here to talk about, because obviously, how can we make sure that we tap into this problem, we fix it, we address it using different technologies that are out there? And obviously today we're going to talk about one particular one, but we're going to make sure that we give you at least an idea of what is the range of technology that's all across. So usually, as I say, when I have my live on Wednesday and Sunday, I do the talking and I'm comfortable doing that. But today I don't want to do it specifically, just because, like I say, I brought people that are a lot more experienced than I can ever be in this topic. And you're going to learn a lot more from them. So if that's okay, ladies and gentlemen, oh, by the way, I can see my team is saying, yeah, exactly. So we want you to drop your details there. So your name, email, telephone, if you want to, and we'll reach out to you. So I'm simply joking. But yeah, it's good to get to know who is in the room, what is that you're doing, and just get a bit of a networking as well, right? And make sure that after that you connect to our two speakers and reach out to them if what they're saying is of interest to you. So without further ado, so let me have first of all Judith introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna have as well VJ, and after that Judith, I'll come back to you because I think you have something special that you prepare for us. Isn't it correct, Judith?
Thank you so much, Tony, and hello to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us today. My name is Judith Marera. I am the founder and CEO of Landforce Energy. Landforce Energy is a woman-led for-profit social enterprise, and we are in the renewable energy sector, focusing mainly on biogas. Thank you so much.
Excellent, Judith. Thank you, I appreciate that. So VJ, you may want to do the same.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Vijay Bhopal, CEO of Inclusive Energy. I'm calling in today from London, where I live, although I work all over the world. India is a country that I've done a lot of work in, and also in East Africa, and more recently West Africa. And I'm an enthusiast when it comes to biogas, but biogas is not the only technology I work in. My company makes remote monitoring and digital tools for biogas companies and also solar companies as well. So we work in electrification as well. And a couple of my colleagues are on the call, so hopefully with your questions later, if I'm not able to answer, one of them will be.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Vijay. And like you say, you're working on multiple technologies, and I know you're going to be showing us a couple of very nice pictures that you prepare for us, right? And as I say, feel free, guys, to start dropping your questions because the time is very, very short. We're hoping to have more webinars, but for now, make sure that you address your question to the right speaker. And my team and I will be making sure that we tap into that and we relay that to them. So without further ado, Judith, if you can sort of go ahead. I don't know, do you have a presentation that you want to share, or you want to just speak already verbally? Because obviously Judith, it's calling from Harare, and then she's very much an expert into the field. And as we were talking yesterday, Judith, you were telling me that you're really keen to give at least some understanding to people what is really biogas digester. Over to you, Judith.
Thank you, Tony. Let me try and share my screen.
Yes, you should be able normally.
Okay. It's saying one participant can share at a time.
Okay, let me just, is somebody sharing at the moment? I can't see anybody sharing at the moment. So, you can't share at the moment? 1 second, let me see. You are the co-host, you can't share? Hi, Judith. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Can you still not share? Because I believe nobody else is sharing about. Nobody is sharing the presentation.
Okay.
Okay, let me make you the host. Okay, you the co-host, you should be able. But if I, for example, make you the host for now,
okay,
let me know. And does it work better?
No.
Okay. You still can't share. Okay. Never mind. What we can do, you can go ahead and start talking, and we can get it solved as you speak. So I'm just gonna reclaim the host for now, and then I just start talking, and then later on, if you're able to share, we can show that to people. Is that okay for you?
All right. Let me try, because it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a story coming out from the presentation.
Yeah.
As you have highlighted earlier on, I grew up in the rural areas in Zimbabwe, and I realized challenges that women and children go through in search of firewood for cooking, especially. And that has pushed me to bring out a solution to the most rural women and children in Zimbabwe, so that they can have access to a much cleaner and affordable source of energy without having to spend much of their time in the forest looking for firewood, as there are many challenges that these women and children can come across while it's looking for firewood. There are issues of weather conditions, time itself, and the girl child is also affected mainly because she has less time to spend on your studies. And as you have highlighted, Tony, earlier on, we have about 3 billion people who are dying yearly prematurely due to the inhalation of smoke. You can imagine as a mother in the kitchen with your baby on your back, doing all the household chores. And when you also go out, you also maybe be carrying another baby on your back with the other children, maybe having to work with the other household chores whilst the mother takes care of the firewood. And as a result of this problem, we founded Landforce Energy in 2010 and started our operations in 2018. And our solutions to this problem or this pain that most rural women and children go through was in the form of biogas. And just to explain lightly on what biogas is a source of energy that comes from waste. Anything that you call waste can provide you with energy. And at the end, you can have energy for lighting, for cooking, for brooding. And for farmers, this is a very good technology for them, because when they brood their chickens, their pigs, those animals, they really need some form of heating. And with biogas, you can have heating energy from biogas, thereby saving lots of cost in terms of buying charcoal, because most people were used to be buying charcoal. And we have different types of biogas digesters, and it's unfortunate that I couldn't share my screen. I wanted to show everyone the type of biodigesters that we have. And currently, as Landforce Energy, we're dwelling on the fixed dome biogas digesters. These are built underground, and this enables the gas to be produced effectively. And with biogas, what we'll be doing is we'll be tapping the methane that it won't be able to be released back into the atmosphere, causing global warming issues and climate change issues. So the methane which comes from everything that decays or everything that decomposes is the actual gas that we want to produce biogas in the absence of oxygen. We have also invested in our portable biogas digesters. These portable biogas digesters, they assist farmers and even households to start up probably with the smallest unit and scale up to the size that they require depending on their ever-changing needs in the demands of energy. And biogas is quite advantageous as compared to other sources of energy. We do have other sources of renewable energy like solar, which is which provides lighting on a cheaper side. But with biogas now, we realize that we can get the lighting, we can get the, and people can venture into fish farming, aquaculture, whereby they use they can harvest the maggots from the slurry from the biodigester and feed their chickens and their fish. And that slurry from the biodigester comes in handy as well as a form of an organic fertilizer, which assists most farmers to cut down on production costs in their fields, as chemical fertilizers are way too expensive and way beyond the reach of many farmers in rural setups. So with biogas, we are bringing a lot of solutions to our farmers, to our rural households, and it also comes in as a way of managing waste management. Instead of throwing away waste, we are saying bring all your waste and we use that waste to produce energy. So waste is no longer waste like it used to be. The technology has been there for quite a long time, but because of the challenges in terms of financial costs, the initial uptake of the technology, many people have shunned from the technology because they cannot afford the initial cost of setting up a plant. But as Landforce Energy, we are trying by all means to bring affordability at each and everyone's doorstep, whereby we provide the services on a pay-as-you-use model, whereby you pay an initial deposit, we do the construction of the biogas digesters, and you pay in monthly installments for a period of up to 24 months. This has helped a lot of our rural farmers and our rural households. And we have also managed to work with Inclusive Energy in providing us with smart biogas meters. These smart biogas meters assist us in reducing the number of queries that come from the clients, like faulty issues, because the smart biogas meters will be monitoring the performance of the digesters remotely. And we just have to leave VJ to explain more about the technology on the smart biogas meters. But in essence, we are saying as a form of clean cooking, biogas is the best solution to go. And we have many solutions for each and every customer in terms of biogas, and we're encouraging everyone to take up the technology in terms of biogas as we take heed, or as we answer to the call of net zero by 2030. And luckily, the government of Zimbabwe is working together with us in terms of making sure that we bring renewable energy to the doorsteps of each and every individual in the country, so that we minimize all the emissions of carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, bringing a brighter future for future generations. Thank you so much for this time. If there are any questions, I'll allow the questions to come through and I'll answer them. Thank you so much.
Excellent, that's fine. Thank you very much, Judith. What we can do, because like I say, we're always about finding solution here. If you can send me the presentation in between, so in my inbox. So before the webinar finishes, I think we may have a chance to flick through some of them, some slides, so people can at least get a sense of what you're talking about. So and then if that's okay, I invite you to do that. Definitely, I can see the chat is it's at the moment on fire. There's lots of comments. I've not had a chance to look at that yet, but my colleague Oluoj, please start looking at question there. So we may actually tap into that. So VJ, let me come back to you, because Judith, I've mentioned a couple of times that you clearly have a technology that is very helpful for the sector to grow. It's about obviously how can you measure the amount of fuel that is going to the system. It could be good for, first of all, the developer, but it could be good as well for investors. But I don't want to say much more than that. So Vijay, can you just tap into that? I also want to say, because I'm sure I know you're very modern, you won't mention that, but you recently gone through a fundraising a campaign that has been very successful. So congratulations on that. And I know now you have the money. I'm sure now all eyes are on you to deliver. So, but I know you and your team, you can take it. So yeah, Vijay, please go ahead.
No pressure then. Well, thank you, Tony, and thanks a lot, Judith, as well. Despite the technical glitch, that was really interesting. And I have a couple of questions for you, but I think we'll leave them to the end, because probably more important is our audience getting a chance to ask. So let's see if I can share my screen now.
Yeah, hopefully you should be able. Yep, it's coming up.
Okay, so what I want to talk about, and I'm not going to take too much time, I just want to talk about the important themes that I see for biogas in terms of it scaling up. Now, as Judith mentioned, biogas is not a new technology. It's been around for a long time. There are tens of millions of digesters in China and India, and it's very popular in some other countries as well. But why isn't it taking off in Africa in the same way? Well, there are a few reasons, and there are lots of things that are happening in the biogas market now that I think mean that now is a good time and a good opportunity for a kind of relaunch of the sector. So this is what I'll be talking about. So I see four main things that are the keys to scale. One is innovation in digester hardware. So Judith was talking about the kind of digesters she uses, and I did post a picture, a link to a picture in the chat there, but I'm going to show a couple of different other types as well, because there's a lot of innovation that has already happened around biogas digester types that I think has changed the game for the whole market. The second thing is commercial innovation. Now, like a lot of cooking fuels, biogas is subsidized in some places. Oftentimes it's given away for free, all of these things. But this is all changing now. Now there are opportunities, proper commercial opportunities in the biogas market. And I just want to give one example. The third part is the carbon market. You may have heard that the carbon market is booming. So for every unit or every ton of carbon that is reduced in the atmosphere, we can get paid if we're doing carbon reducing activities. And as I'll explain, biogas is in a very good place for this. And then the fourth thing, which is what we're doing, is digitizing the whole thing. So in off-grid solar, as you may know, the whole sector was digitized about 10 years ago. And understanding what people were using in terms of their energy uses and enabling them to pay using digital money, it really opened up a lot of opportunities for solar. And I think that we can do the same in biogas. So the first part is hardware, types of digesters. This on the left is a fixed dome digester. The dome of the digester is actually hidden under the earth. So it's here somewhere. This is an inlet, and the outlet is on this side. So this is an old-fashioned design, but actually this digester is probably my favorite biogas digester that I've ever seen, because it's using old technology in a modern way. This is actually prefabricated, made of plastic, and then installed in a single day in northern India. And this digester is about 10 years old. And if we want to talk about the specifics of different digester types, then I'm going to leave that to Judith and maybe Gareth, my colleague, later. Now, this one on the right-hand side is a flexi digester. It's made of again, plastic, but a flexible plastic. It's essentially a reinforced plastic bag. And this is a much cheaper way of doing it, but it does the same thing. You put in manure or another feedstock and you get gas out. The point that I want to make is that there's everything in between these two as well. And there are lots of different types of digesters out there. And what this means is that different digester types can be used in different countries and different climates, depending on the local conditions. And that's a good thing. So we have more options these days. Second part is commercial. So this is all my pictures of here are from India, and I could have chosen African examples as well, but these are all recent pictures from a trip to India just a few weeks ago. So here's a different type of bag digester, and there are two outputs from any biogas digester. There's gas, which is coming through this pipe here, and there's slurry, which is coming into this pit behind the digester here. So it doesn't look very innovative, but it really is, because what they're doing here is that the company that provides these digesters is providing them for absolutely free. So how does that work? They're not charging, but what they're taking is, you can see it in the picture on the right-hand side, is the organic fertilizer, which is one of the outputs. They're buying, or they're taking for free for a certain period of time, this fertilizer. And then they have a contract with the farmer to buy it once the costs of the digester are paid off. So this is an example where the output, which is really a byproduct of a biogas digester, is being valued and enabling a commercial model to arise. And that's just one example. There are many, many different ways of doing this. But the point is that the system creates value. And if we harness it properly, then there are viable business models to be found. Point 3 is carbon markets. So I mentioned that the carbon markets are booming. Well, that's good for anyone who works on carbon reduction, but it provides an even better opportunity for anyone who works in biogas. And the reason for that is that, according to the gold standard, one of the most important stakeholders in the carbon markets, biogas is the most valuable carbon reduction opportunity in terms of dollars per ton of carbon reduced, if you look at it holistically. If you look at what does holistically mean? Well, it takes into account a few different aspects, not just carbon reduction, but livelihoods improvement, health, employment prospects. It takes in all these things into account. Even if you don't look at it holistically, the climate impact of biogas is still larger than any of the other carbon reduction technologies, such as wind, solar, or something like forestry. So really, the carbon price for biogas should be rising over the coming years. But we don't need to go into too much detail, but probably the reason why it's fairly low at the moment is because of lack of digitization, which is my fourth point. So at the moment, the biogas market is largely not digitized. If you look at something like off-grid solar, or even LPG or ethanol, there's companies doing great work in ethanol as a cooking fuel in Rwanda. These are all digitized operations, whereas biogas isn't. So what happens in a biogas digester stays in a biogas digester. It's very difficult for us to know what is going on. So we have created, Inclusive Energy has created this product, which is Smart Biogas, which is a monitoring tool specifically for biogas digesters. And it does, well, it digitizes the process, but that really gives us three things. The first thing is that it allows biogas companies to understand how their operations are going. So they can see where their digesters are, how their customers are using them, how much gas is being produced and consumed, all these kind of rather basic things that up until recently haven't actually been monitored. The second thing is that we want people to be able to use this to actually track and report against their carbon reduction. So companies can do this now without a monitoring solution, but it's not easy. And we're trying to make it easier for people by automating the process. And the third thing that you can do with this is on the payment side. I mentioned commercial models earlier. Well, at the moment, of course, companies can try and do it without a monitoring system, but it's difficult to offer people flexibility in the way that they pay for their fuel when you don't know how much they're actually using. So by using our product, we're now enabling companies to be able to charge their customers for what they actually used. So we're trying to unlock real pay-as-you-go biogas. And I just want to show a couple of screens from the software. So this is the homepage of our product, just to see where all the customers are and to keep simple details about them. We're also able to look into specific digesters to see how they're performing. We track the pressure and the flow from the digester, and that gives us insights into how that customer is actually using the thing and how the digester is performing as well. Next is on payments, which I've talked about. So here's a place to actually track payments and understand customers' billing position and all of that. We have a place to track repairs and any issues with a customer and with the digester, if that's all recorded as well. And then finally, there's simple operational things like customer support, which can all be managed through the platform. So there we go. Those are my 4 themes that hopefully we can pick through in the discussion, and a little bit about the product as well. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Tony.
Oh, thanks for that, Vijay. That was fantastic. That's very, very, very interesting. And I can definitely tell you that there are questions, yeah, questions. And before I dive into the questions, let me be kind to Judith, because I think I felt a little bit bad because I think she worked so hard just to put those slides together. So she was able to share that with me. So what I'm gonna do right now is to share my screen, and hopefully you guys be able to see that. I want to put up Judith. Yeah, okay. You can't see them yet, right? No, yeah. Okay, I share that now. Yep. And then Judith, you can just take just a couple of minutes. Can you see that, Judith? Judith?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
If you can talk to that just a couple of minutes, because I like to get into the question, but I wanted to give justice to you, and then I get to that slide that you wanted us. Yeah, so that's the first slide. That's what it is here. But you want to talk about those pictures very quickly, please?
Yeah. Yes. On these pictures, I'm just trying to show what women go through every day of their lives, trying to make fire to prepare meals each and every day, and all that smoke that the woman has to inhale with a baby on her back. And on that cut, you can see that there's fire within the cut, and you can imagine the amount of deforestation that takes place without any replacement. And we are not doing justice to the environment by keeping on cutting down trees for firewood. If each family has to have such a load, probably a month, for them to last for a month in terms of cooking energy. That's what I wanted to highlight on this one. And on the next slide, I was just trying to highlight that not only women suffer, but you can see these 2 gentlemen here. They're also carrying firewood, meaning that probably on their way back from work, They just have to find a few logs to carry home to light a fire for them to have energy for cooking. Then we can move on to the next slide. This one, this is a picture of a biogas digester, the fixed dome that I was talking about. This is during construction. On my far left is the construction of a biogas digester, and that's the area of view of the completed biogas digester with the inlet covered where there's a pipe. If you see a white pipe, that's feeding directly from the pigsty. This digester is fed directly with waste from the pigs because the owner of this place keeps pigs. And the next thing in the middle, that's where we switch on the biogas when the people want to use the biogas, they just come and switch it on. And the last one is the expansion chamber, whereby the production is done and where the gas is held. And the last part is the slurry pits. After the production of biogas, some of the waste is pushed out due to pressure, and that forms the organic fertilizer that we're talking about, that the farmers get to use the organic fertilizer to enhance on crop productivity in their fields and gardens. And the next slide, please. This one is a portable biodigester that I was referring to, whereby households, individuals, or even farmers, they can scale up to the size that they want depending on their energy requirements, or they can even scale down again. In this picture, we can see that man on top of the digester. That's the digester there, and the slurry pits where the slurry is going, and the organic fertilizer in there that they can now use for different uses. They can harvest the maggots to feed the chickens, to feed the pigs, and they can also feed the fish and venture into fish farming. Next slide, please. Here, what I'm trying to talk about is waste is no longer waste as it used to be, because we can use this waste to produce biogas, and this waste can also be used as a form of fertilizer. The organic waste can provide us with biogas, a clean cooking source of energy, and can also provide us with organic fertilizer, which we can use in our fields, our vegetable gardens, to enhance on our productivity. Next slide, please. You can see that man, he's smiling, he's very happy with his investment. That's he's now using smart form of cooking energy. You can look at the pots on the stove. The wife is no longer worried about having to clean soot on the pots, or having the pots having to be destroyed by soot or by fire. And that's the man is showing that he's happy with his investment. He's done something that is good for his family. And next to it is another biogas stove with a 4-plate biogas stove. And we can also see the light, since biogas can provide lighting, and many other uses that biogas can provide. Next slide, please. Yes, and this one is a picture of the smart biogas meter, which when installed will help us to remotely monitor the performance of our biogas digesters. So we're just saying to everyone, anyone can invest in a form of a clean cooking. Biogas is the way to go. Thank you so much, Tony.
Yeah, and just to say as well, that device that you see there, that VJ Smart Biogas device that you were talking about, hopefully you recognize that customer is using in this instance. So that's what VJ was saying. He may be sitting here in the UK, but he's actually have his footprints pretty much everywhere. So which is great to see. Yeah, I think thanks for that. I'm glad we're able to see those slides because they are very, very good. It gives us a very proper idea of how things are happening on the ground, and this is why we wanted really to have you, Judith, with us. So very much appreciate that. We now have about 17 minutes left. I believe that should be okay. I've had lots of questions sent to me before the this webinar, but also here. So my colleague Oluwaj has been collating a number of questions. So I can't promise that we're going to tap into all of them in this session with the time that we got left, but we do our best to tackle as many as possible. And then, as I say, so I may talk to Judith and Vijay. We see whether we have a follow up for this webinar. So the first question for you, Judith, saying that insightful presentation. Well, first for this, Martha was asking whether the webinar recording is going to be available. Yes, it's going to be available. So, and you'll be able to see that once we've gone through that. But let me tap into the question that I believe need answered today and right now. So, Judith, in terms of financing, have you been able to raise finance? Because I think that's one of the key questions that usually people want to know. Because you're an entrepreneur, clearly exploiting Biogas Digester. So how have you been able to raise finance, Judith?
Thank you so much. Yes, we have been able to raise finance through various platforms that offer assistance to companies in the clean cooking industry. We got a loan from SEMA, that's Social Investment Managers and Advisors, a COVID relief fund, and that has enabled us to scale up our operations. And we also received seed funding from the Tony Elumelu Foundation. It's an entrepreneurship program that assists entrepreneurs to grow up their businesses. And we are still in the rounds looking for further financing in clean cooking so that we are able to provide the biogas technology to as many people as we can who live off-grid in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that means if there is any investor in the in the room, so you're more than welcome to reach out, right? So money is always needed. Yeah, so definitely.
Yeah.
And I know the second question, I give it to you, Vijay, and I suspect you may want to give it to your colleague Gareth, who I believe is in the room, because it's a kind of a technical question. So I'm a technical guy, but even me, I can't respond to that. The person is saying, that's James Nkosi, who said that, are there technologies that can enable reticulation of biogas? What kind of infrastructure material is required for such? I have to say, I'm not sure I properly understand it, but you, Vijay, may know it, or even better, maybe Gareth can know it.
I'm going to pass that to Gareth.
So let me just allow Gareth to speak. I don't think, yeah, I'm going to ask him to mute. Yeah, Gareth, that's your time to shine, Gareth. you want me to repeat the question, or you good?
If you could do, yeah, I missed the first bit of it, probably the key word. It sounded like recirculate, but I wasn't.
No, it was like, are there technologies that can enable reticulation of biogas? I really don't know what it means, reticulation of biogas. What kind of infrastructure or material is required for such? In fact, if James...
It means networking. So it means a network of biogas. So yeah, that's a...
Okay.
Gareth, do you want to take it?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, so we've been working actually already on a innovation project, and we're about to kick off the second phase of that, hopefully in September, where we are working on networked biogas. So we use our meters for sub-metering, basically. So you end up with multiple biogas plants on a network, and then multiple points of usage on the network as well. And then you meter that so people get a fair pay for their input and fair payment for their output. So that's something we're working on in terms of the metering side already. And if anybody's interested in that, yeah, please do drop us a line and we can talk to you about that. And then we're working quite closely in India. We have an office in India where there's many companies actually working in that sort of setup, actually, where they've got bigger biogas plants, slightly bigger scale, typically than what we see in East and West Africa. And yeah, they are doing that sort of setup. Often it's through simple sub-metering, so you're having to pay somebody to go and check the meter and do that kind of thing. And yeah, we obviously offer a slightly different approach to that, where there's a bit of intelligence and IoT kind of monitoring added to it. I don't know if that answers answers the question.
Okay, okay, excellent. I have a follow-up question, which may be related to the to that previous one. But before that, so you'll be pleased, Vijay, to know that Vijay and Gareth know that you may actually have a lead, because I have a gentleman called Andy Kapindo, who is from Malawi, and he's interested by the smart meters. And so Andy Kapindo, what you do, you reach out to us, renewables in Africa. So Oluwaj, if you can drop my email down there, I'll make sure that I connect you to both Vijay and Gareth, and then you can talk to them directly. If you're interested into those devices, excellent. That's what we want. And yeah, that'd be good. So now let me go come back. So yeah, James Kapindo. So hopefully you were able to hear that. Oluwaj, please drop my email there if you don't mind. So in between, second question. So that was still a follow-up from James, because the reason I want to pick up another question from James, because both questions are related and they make sense for me. So they say, how do we ensure that for such a project the value chain becomes sustainable? And it seems to be saying, which was part of your response, Gareth, you mentioned that the volume is important, because you say volume, basically. So how do we make sure that we have enough volume to make sure that you can make a sustainable business there? And can you share experiences of lessons? So hopefully Gareth is still.
I would be happy to take that one, actually.
Yeah,
Gareth can certainly add if he thinks I'm wrong or wants to add anything. I think the biogas is different to other cooking technologies because you have a production side and consumption side. If you collect wood, then of course you have to do that manually as well. But for most cooking technologies, you buy the fuel. In this case, you need to collect it, and that's not always easy, because families need to have cows or some other form of livestock. But small digesters do work with as little as one cow, which means that in some countries that's great, no problem, and in some other countries or other regions it's more difficult. But there is some innovation happening in biogas, which brings opportunities for people even that don't have cows or feel like they don't have enough cows, which is through centralization. So we're seeing a lot more community scale digesters arising, and even maybe not in all countries, but in some countries we're seeing centralization of production and then bottling of biogas, so that it can be sold as in standard bottles, more like a commodity. So, it is a challenge to make sure that you've got the production side sorted, but things are changing and there are more opportunities arising for people with fewer cattle as well. Anything to add, Gareth?
Let me see if Gareth can speak. I think he may have gone on mute, and I need to unmute him.
Thanks. Yeah, sorry, I can't unmute manually. I appreciate that. Yeah, I guess my only other thing to add to that. So I think, yes, scale is obviously one thing, and community. Sorry, I'm getting some pop-ups now from my browser. Sorry. Yeah, community scale is one thing. I think the other thing is adding just more profitability to biogas plants. So we all know that a biogas business works because I think many of you are here selling biogas. So just using, selling biogas in the standard way with your standard maintenance and revenue model does work. But what I see as a really valuable thing is then every additional benefit that you can add is almost 100% profit. Let's say it that way. You know, it's like once you've it's like paying for your rent. If your rent is 2/3 of your income, and then you actually just a little bit more income is actually quite a lot of extra money in your back pocket, if that makes sense. So things like carbon credits are really important because you're already making money off your biogas plant, and then you can just make more money without too much additional investment. Also reducing maintenance costs. So we've got examples where people are you know, spending $100 to send someone out to visit a biogas plant. If you can just deal with that through a phone call, that $100 is straight back into your own back pocket. So I think just making those incremental gains that go straight into your back pocket without any additional overheads are really important.
Okay, so thanks for that. I think there's just so many good questions. So yeah, let me see if I can squeeze 3 questions before we wrap up. Just going to do a very short conclusion there. Hopefully people are okay with that. So let me come back to either any of you 3 can respond, either VJ, Gareth, or Judith. Say one of the challenges of biogas is the retention time through different feeding method. Could you suggest a way to reduce it? And this is Emmanuel Niyonshuti, who said that he seems to know exactly what he's talking about. I guess you guys will be familiar with that, right? The retention time through feeding method.
I could try and deal with this one if
yeah, go ahead.
Might also be able to speak into it, but
yeah.
So retention time is really an important factor for a biogas plant. So if you're putting human waste in, for example, you should have retention time of about 90 days, and that's the amount of time it takes for the waste to pass from one end of the biogas plant to the other, and that's to ensure proper microbial breakdown and that you're getting rid of all the bacteria that's in the waste. If you're putting in cow dung in a tropical climate, that should be about 40 days, just because it has slightly less negative bacteria and things in it. What I would say is you have to really respect whoever's selling you the biogas plant. They're quite important issues, and you don't want to mess them up. You want to make sure that what you get out at the end is properly digested. So when you put it back on the fields, you're confident of the result, that you're not going to make anyone poorly. Having said that, there are ways to speed that up. So things like heating it. There's different types of biogas plants. We're doing a load of research at the moment into electromethanogenic reactors, which is a very complex way of saying you put an anode and a cathode into a biogas plant, a very small power supply, and again you speed up the breakdown of the bacteria. So there are ways of doing it, and I think that's where there's going to be exciting growth in the market again, because we'll see much quicker turnover of biogas, making it easy. But I just reiterate that you have to respect the system you've got and make sure that you don't end up with a negative output.
Excellent, Gareth. Let me jump into, because I think, like I say, I want to get another couple of questions if possible. So that's for you, Judith. I want to give it to you. So how can I get your group to train women to build such biodigester for your homes? I just feel like you may be in a better position to respond to that. Judith, are you still around? You should be around, yeah?
Yeah, yes, I am still around.
Yeah, did you get a question?
Can you come again?
Yeah, sure. So it said that it's Catherine Boafo who's saying that, how can I get your group or your company, Judith, to train women to build such a biodigester for homes?
Okay, thank you so much. What we are basically doing at the moment is we can provide online training for those that are not in Zimbabwe. But for those in Zimbabwe, what we do is we do some training workshops whereby our engineers and masons take the youth and women especially step by step in terms of how a biogas digester is constructed. But for the portable biodigesters, we have a manual which states how to set up such a portable biodigester. and that can be provided online as well, the training, and it's something that is very easy, just by following the steps in the manual.
Okay, that's fine. That's good enough. So I would say as well, same thing for Catherine. So it's either you can reach out to Judith or either VJ or even Gareth on LinkedIn. I'm sure they can give you more information. But the easiest way as well for you will simply be just to reach out to us, Renewables in Africa, and then we can also make sure that we connect them with you. So VJ, let me give you 30 seconds to wrap up, and I'm just going to ask as well Judith to do the same. And after that, we can bring that to a conclusion. I think it's been a very interesting conversation. As you can see, there's lots of questions. There's lots of interest into this technology, but we also have to respect people's time. So VJ.
Yeah, I think the questions were excellent, and there were some good ones that we didn't pick up on too. But the theme that I see is one where biogas is very heterogeneous. There's too many different ways of doing it at the moment. We've talked about the hardware. We've also there's different feedstocks, and there's many different ways to do it. And I think in order to really scale it, it does need to standardize in certain ways. And that's one of the things that we're really interested in being a part of, especially when it comes to the carbon side of the story. But yeah, that's where I see the market going over the next 5 to 10 years.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Judith, any final word?
What we can basically say is maybe try to remove the myths that are out there in terms of smell, because biogas can be produced using different sources of waste. You can use human waste. There's nothing wrong with powering your house or powering your workplace with human waste. It doesn't have any smelling effect. It's something that is very 80% efficient. And as long as you have access to waste, you can have your home powered with biogas, and you can start living the smart way. And I will leave my details in the chat box in case there's some other people who might want to reach out for further clarifications in terms of biogas. Thank you so much.
Excellent. That's fine. So what I would do, exceptionally, because like I say, I can see we still have 50 people that joined. Usually by this time, people are gone. So I'm just going to extend it just by 5 minutes, just stick around for people who want to. And VJ and Judith, feel free to drop your details for people to reach out to you. But so people can pick this up. And then, but let me also give just couple of seconds to Gareth to close it, because he was sort of our additional speaker, although he didn't speak at the beginning, but he's been very helpful with the answers. So Gareth, is there any final word you want to say? And after that, we close, please.
Yeah, thanks. That's really kind. Yeah, thanks for it's great having all these questions, because it's great food for thought for us. I just put in the chat just one final point, that we've also been creating an app, a mobile phone app. So a lot of the questions have been about the kind of mystifying nature of biogas. And that's one of the issues we find is there's lots of slightly complicated issues like retention time and things like that. What waste can I put in it? What can I do with it? And that's one of the aims of the app, actually. So it's to kind of give that information directly to the user so they can understand a bit more about how to use biogas. So yeah, just feel free to drop us a line if you want to hear more about that. We're looking for pilot users of that at the moment. We've just released it. So yeah, thanks for having us. It's been great.
Excellent. More innovation. So there can't be any better way to close the session, right? Just to say that Biogas Digester, as both Judith and VJ said, this is not a new technology, but it's just having a rebirth, right? And with that technology that goes with it, just to make it something mainstream that definitely is going to help the whole industry and to make clean cooking a reality very shortly. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been fantastic for me talking to you. And I'm hoping that we're going to have the chance in the coming weeks, months, to have another conversation, because there's a lot more that needs to be said on biogas and all the other clean cooking fuel that we can tap into. So you've been fantastic. So great to have you. Thanks for everything. And I'm sure we will be in touch. This conversation is recorded. It will be shared with you as soon as we can make sure that we have the edit done. Thank you very much, everybody. And then have a great day. I'm just going to leave the chat open for another couple of minutes, just for you to pick up any last emails that you've not been able to do, because VJ share is Judith as well. And then, yeah. And what more can I say apart from thank you very much, and then I'll talk to you very soon, guys. Take care.